I want to do an unboxing of these just because I was really impressed. This is the Ariat Benchmade, which is like a different line, Clanton model with this Roughout oil, Tan Roughout they call it. These are made in Mexico as far as I understand. And it's kind of impressive, to be honest. I'll throw up a little kind of scrolling thing, or maybe put it on the side of like the site, when I ordered these. But they were on sale for $250. I think they're normally $329 or something, which is still pretty cheap. I just think of it compared to, like, I don't know, Rios are made in Texas, so American labor is going to cost more than Mexico. I get it, but very cheap. Half the well, here's a better example. Chisos that I bought last year and returned were at the time I think $550, and now they're $580 or something, almost $600. So, just move that box back a little bit. Let's look at this boot. I mean, this is nice quality stuff. Yes, this is explaining what it's about. I did take these out, but I put them back in the box. I'm actually debating about the size. These are, as you saw in the box, and this tag shows it. If I can show it to you. These are 11.5 double E. Did that because I ended up, if you saw my video on those, the Rios rather, they were 11.5 double E. I bought 11.5 D from Planet Boot, I think, in Nashville, and they said they were 11.5 D, but the boots I got were 11.5 double E, and they fit really nice. And typically I've been liking E width on PNW, so they only do D and double E, so it's kind of all you got. Same with Red Wing, they only do D and double E. This is actually not a very wide toe for a double E, but I do notice, there's definitely some room here. I tried it with a thin sock and liked it better with my boot socks, those Dickies boot socks that I wear with some of my boots that fit a little more generously. But yeah, this is just like, they're really nice. Look at these details. It's really nice quality stuff. Take out the stupid paper. Actually, that's enough to probably see. You won't be able to see very well, but basically there's a leather topped, or I think is leather topped foam footbed and insole thing. There's like a nice soft, it's hard to get this on the camera here, nice soft lining. This actually reminds me a little bit of Rios, where you have that tag on the pull strap. And there's I'm trying to get this in the camera. Some information right there. Made in Mexico, like I said, but I don't know, the quality is pretty surprising. I've never owned a pair of Tecovas, but my brother has a few pairs, and I looked at them when I visited him a few years ago, and lives out in Texas, and I don't know, they didn't feel bad, but they didn't feel anything special, but I think it was the Chiso, and those are priced more fairly. I think Tecovas pricing is a little bit better. They're around the same general cost as these guys, but it was the Chisos that I just was very disappointed with, because their pricing is kind of ridiculous. I would say their price is outrageous for what you're getting. With Chisos, it's a $600 made in Mexico boot that has a bunch of quality control problems. As an example, they hit the one they returned, like the top of the welt was like chipped off. This finishing is significantly superior to how the Chisos were. And then the sole, it's not exact, one-to-one comparison, because the Chisos had the lemonwood pegs and the only like half stitching, but there's a James model similar to this that has a cowboy heel instead of this. I don't even know what you'd call this heel. It's like a roper heel, but it seems like a taller roper heel. Generally roper heels I feel like a little lower than this. Kind of would prefer if it had a dogger angle. I know I could maybe have a cobbler do that if I get interested down the road. But, you know, this is more of like a block heel. But the James model has an even taller heel that's a cowboy heel, you know, with the kind of cowboy packer, you know, Western heel. And that pair has the typical half weld and the Lemuin pegs. Whereas, a couple reasons I got this one. Well, a few. I like the plain, because I'm not super into Western boots. Those intricate designs in the top kind of aren't my jam. I don't. I guess I just don't really get it. But it doesn't. It's covered by your pants anyway. But it just feels strange. So that's one thing I like. This is a plain top, and then I liked versus the James has, you know, stitched in pattern. It's at least, you know, still rough out the same. It's not a two-tone. And then I liked the wider toe just because as much as the pointy toes can kind of look cool, they don't really work for my big toes that like to kind of splay inward. And then the last thing that I kind of thought was neat, just because I hadn't seen this before, is this is literally just like a 360 weld. Well, sorry, 270 weld dress shoes type sole, or like the same as I guess the original pair of Wolverine 1,000 miles I got years ago, over a decade ago, had this same style where it's just stitched around, and it's a leather sole, and it's just kind of simple and, you know, more basic, utilitarian. I kind of dig that. But I mean, the details on this is really good. You know, hopefully my mic's not been cutting out. Yeah. Anyway, just before I decide if, pretty sure this is the pair I'm going to keep. I've debated because they do free returns and exchanges, and they still have other sizes in stock. I've thought maybe I would try exchanging these for the 12D, but then I was thinking maybe even the 11.5D, but considering how the toe box is already narrow on this, for a double E, I think that would be a mess. I don't think the 11.5D would work. I think it would be too much. I would have too much toe. I think the little toe would be fine because it's very soft, but this has a Celastic structure here, and I think this would push in on my. It's very stiff Celastic actually. I think this would push my big toe too much if I did the 11.5D. So it's kind of like stick with this double E that is maybe a little bit more generous in the instep. It actually works really well with the thicker sock, but with my thin socks, it feels a little bit loose in the instep. And then a 12D, which might tighten up this instep, but then might get overly long. And honestly, my ball is kind of like right here, or I think it was right here when I was wearing them, which is kind of the widest part. I think I'm trying to remember. The ball positioning seemed about right too, so which would make me think if I got the 12D, it might be placing my foot maybe in the wrong spot. So I think these might be the best, you know, considering the limitation. Like, it's not going to be perfect, but it's not like it's loose, and with the thicker sock, it feels snug. So it's just not super tight. Like, I didn't get like a hard pop when I put them in. So I guess I'm just maybe overthinking the sizing. Anyway, don't want to go on too long about it. The boot looks the same, but pretty impressed. And honestly, the unboxing, you know, they package this very well. I just think this is a hell of a product for a 250. And I would say get this over Chisos all day long. It's a better product for half the cost, less than half, because the Chisos is now $600. You're just paying for the marketing and the hype. And I think Ariat did a really good job with this Benchmade line. Can't speak to anything else. I know most of their stuff is more work, square toe, kind of rubber, cemented crap. But this line, you know, specifically this Benchmade looks really good based off this one pair. So figured I'd just share that with you guys. Cheers.